Hi, guys. Well, from blustery Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And Dan, we've
Oh
got
my God.
something to celebrate.
You guys.
Some good
It's
news.
our
Some good news
birthday.
for once. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
It's
not what
our-
I was talking about at all.
Okay. Oh,
Well,
there's
now
an
you've
election.
now you've ruined
and
it.
Biden's going to be the
Biden's
guy.
president. But no, you're
But
right.
also, it's our birthday,
It's our
Frank.
9th anniversary of the start of the show.
Yeah.
9 years ago, Dan.
That is 411 in podcast years.
Yeah, it's 467 episodes is what it is.
Well, there's that, too. I just don't think... How many podcasts are 9 years old?
Not that many. Not that many.
I
We're
remember
in good
it's-
company. There are some out there, and it's So
I was just recalling the other day that you and I felt like we had been doing it for long enough that we thought we should go on a road trip through the South just as a sort of stunt for the show, and that was like 8 years ago.
Yeah, it was barely after the 1 year mark, if I remember correctly.
We were babies.
We were
podcasting
crazy,
babies.
is what we were.
Yeah,
we had
that
like
was crazy.
50 listeners, and we were like, let's go see them all.
We had more than 50.
I know we did. But anyway.
We had literally tens of listeners.
Well, anyway, so there's that. Congratulations, Dan.
Congratulations, Frank.
Yeah,
and congratulations
thank you.
to all of our listeners, especially anyone who has stuck around for like the whole time.
Oh
You're
my God.
insane.
Yeah, it's true. They're out there, though.
They are out there.
And coming up on the show, though, Dan, after we do all our normal shtick, our little thing with the news,
Yeah.
On the second half of the show, we're going to be talking about prophets.
We
Who made some
are
bad
going
predictions this year.
To fucking gloat. We are going to take some time and we are going to wallow in their misery because turns out Christian prophets, especially prophesying about politics,
Yeah,
that don't go so good.
not very good at it. In fact,
No.
more likely than not, wrong.
Aww.
Oh, no, Dan.
It's so sad when the prophets, I mean, most of the time they get it right. Most of the time, for sure.
Well, Dan, I've got something about the election.
Oh, okay.
Which,
Hit me.
You know, feels like it was forever ago. Doesn't
It does?
I don't know. It does to me.
It
Like,
doesn't feel over to me.
Well,
It feels,
yeah, but it feels like we've been in this weird post-election thing for like so long now.
oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's just
And finally,
interminable.
last time we were recording, we didn't even know who the presumptive, the president-elect was.
That's true. Yeah.
So at least we know that now,
Yeah, we do.
in spite of the
and-
the protestations of the other side.
Yeah, and we know some things about where the votes sort of came from. And the AP did an interesting little analysis about Trump voters and where sort of the areas with sort of the largest level of support for Trump in
Geographic areas.
Geographic
Say.
areas.
Okay.
What those like counties, how that went like strongly for Trump. They looked at 376 counties with the highest number of new cases of COVID-19.
Okay.
And they found that the overwhelming majority, 93% of those counties, went for Trump.
Well,
This-
yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't... It's one of those things where it's not surprising, but it's good to know that it's actually like that you're not wrong in your opinion about like what rural America is up to.
I mean, have you seen the maps? Like there's the electoral college map.
I know.
If you hold that right next to the coronavirus hotspots map, it's the same map.
Sadly, Dan, except for like New England and the Pacific Coast, the entire country is just red. With the state of Wisconsin had to create a new I was going to say they had to create a new color. They had to like create a new category for like cases that they're above and beyond. Like it's not fair to only have them sort of be in the red with the rest of the country. They're so bad they have to like be beyond, right?
Yeah.
Beyond red cases. Because right now you can't actually see where the worst places are because the whole thing is so fucking bad. The scale hasn't kept up. But anyway, back to this thing. Most were rural counties, like I said before. They were in Montana, the Dakotas, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, and Wisconsin. I mean, it's not surprising. These are places that have been hesitant to adopt social distancing, or mask wearing has been kind of frowned upon even. Public health officials have been basically like unable to get these areas to comply. They also looked at attitudes about like between Republican and Trump voters and Democratic Biden voters on their attitudes about whether or not they think the pandemic is under control. 36% of Trump voters described the pandemic as completely or mostly under control.
Oh my God.
And another 47% said it was somewhat under control. So I mean, you add that up, that's 83% of Trump voters who think that it's at least somewhat under control. Whereas 82% of Biden voters said the pandemic is not under control at all.
Correctly.
That is the correct answer.
They correctly identified the not under controlness of the experience in our country.
The pandemic was considered at least somewhat under control in states like Alabama, Missouri, Mississippi, Kentucky, Texas, Tennessee, and South Carolina. Like seriously, like I'm pretty sure you look at that hotspot map and that all of those states are in like the worst places.
Yeah. It's just
and the people well, okay, so not South Carolina. I misspoke on that one. That they're not in the worst. And Tennessee, but Tennessee sure is.
Yeah.
Kentucky sure is. Texas is still pretty bad. Missouri, Mississippi is actually not doing well. No, Mississippi is actually doing bad. So yeah, it's
yeah, it's just
God. How can they just be
because they believe. Here's the thing, and what's funny is that what you've said so far has correlated a science fact to a political fact, which you would think is nothing to do with what our show is about, because our show is about religion. But of course it's fucking what our show is about. Of course this is religious. These people are like, forget their Christianity, which of course they all are. Their real religion is this Trump cultism.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And they will believe that over those egghead scientists any day of the week, regardless of how many of their family members are dead. It's it doesn't compute to them.
Yeah, I know. The one bright spot in this whole thing is they also sort of looked at people's attitudes about Fauci.
Okay.
It's over 70% of the country favorably views Fauci as being trustworthy and giving good information about the pandemic. So that's interesting because that doesn't exactly jibe, right? Currently with, like, if they think it's under control, they clearly aren't listening to him, right?
Well, he's been effectively muzzled.
Yeah.
Basically. There's nothing to listen to because Trump won't let him talk.
Yeah. And so like their point, I guess they're trying to get at is just there is some hope that maybe once Trump is no longer, the leader of this country and Biden's in his place, that that somebody, it's not necessarily going to be Biden who gets the other side to come along. Maybe it could be somebody like Fauci, who's if he was like given a little bit more of a authority to speak.
Yeah.
So
give that man
there
a
is
megaphone.
some hope, right? There was a tiny glimmer of hope in this thing, which otherwise it's just like this thing is just going to continue to just roil through our society until we are vaccinated against it. So,
ladies and gentlemen, outside of these United States, we're not doing okay. Just so that you know, it's not under control. Don't expect much from us for a while.
There is literally nothing okay like right now. Like,
this is not going well.
My mental health is just like, I'm barely holding on.
Oh my God. It is amazing that you and I have any levity at all. It's just we are extremely under duress. The flag is flying upside down, kids. It's not okay. Except that, again, the election that was like at least a brief breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep talking about it.
Okay.
Because I'm taking us to you talk about a correlation between voters for Trump and COVID. I'm going to talk about voters for Trump correlating with religion, because we have our exit polls, we have our polling, and it's not surprising. I'm not going to blow anybody's mind right now. What I'm going to tell you is, the people that you think are voted for Donald Trump voted for Donald Trump. White evangelicals, according to VoteCast, which is, I think, AP's little thing, according to them, 82% of white evangelicals voted for Donald John Trump. Which... There you go. Not surprising. Nope. Again, he's their real religion now. According to the NEP, the National Election Pool exit polling, it was only 76%. So there's some discrepancy there, but boy, is it exactly what we thought it would be. And very much actually in keeping with the results in 2016. Trump got 47% of the Catholic vote, which is interesting considering that Biden is a Catholic. Though the right has done an impressive job of making sure that all any religious person thinks about is babies being murdered. Because, boy, the one issue voters in the world for abortion are impressive.
Yeah.
But you know, that means that Biden effectively got half of the of the Catholic vote. So great job, Catholic guy, getting a full half of your people's votes.
Yeah, but it also didn't feel like it was actually after I knew Biden was Catholic, right? But it was after the election somebody pointed out that he's the second Catholic, that I sort of realized, wow, that's kind of crazy, right? And then I actually kind of really thought about, Biden's Catholicism. I hadn't really considered it prior to that.
Yeah, well, what's amazing is
not
that
actively thought about it.
If things were demographically normalized. Mm-hmm. A quarter of our presidents should be Catholic.
Right, yeah.
Because Catholics make up about a quarter of our populace, so you'd think, but...
Well, they make up,
but yeah, we've had
66% of the Supreme Court.
Yeah, they might be mildly overrepresented in the Supreme Court, in the SCOTUS. Unaffiliated Americans, the nuns, the us... the people who do not have a religion or don't claim one, you won't be surprised to learn, favored Biden over Donald Trump 65% to 30%, according to NEP, and 72% to 26%, according to VoteCast.
Huh.
So that's actually, I suppose that's encouraging. 72%.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be better. Some of you people went and voted for Trump, and you were wrong to do so.
I doubt
listeners.
it was any of our listeners.
Yeah, well, that's true. We've probably scared them off by
the
now.
Trump voters. Yeah. Maybe there's Trump voters that still would listen to us.
Yeah.
I don't know what they would be getting from us, though.
Right. They'd be getting scolded, is what they'd be getting, because shame on you.
All right. Well, Dan, there was an interesting development that has happened in the United Arab Emirates.
The UAE.
This is the home of places such as, Dubai.
And the land, the city just built from scratch because they knew that oil was going to dry up at some point, and they needed another industry.
And it's a phenomenal skyline. You look at Dubai's skyline.
The whole city's astounding, really.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been, and you don't see a lot of street level shots of Dubai. Usually the camera's pointed at the towers,
right?
So it's hard to get a sense of what life might really be like. It's either the beach or the skyline, right?
Right.
But the United Arab Emirates is actually they've done a phenomenal job of attracting expats to move to Dubai or all of the UAE. Expatriates outnumber citizens by basically 9-1.
Meaning non-native people, foreigners coming to live there
who don't get citizenship, right? Because I think that's one of the kind of strange things is it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to really get citizenship. 9-1. They some reforms have happened, and a lot of this is coming on the heels of this recent normalization of relations between the UAE and Israel that the U.S. helped broker,
which was actually relatively meaningless. But okay, go on. It's not like they were in a war or anything. They weren't at odds. They were just grumpy.
It's maybe a little bit more significant than that. I mean, this is actually one of the weird areas where people are kind of like, well, it might be the one thing Trump did, right? His administration did. It's kind of a big deal to normalize relationships in the Middle East with Israel, right?
Sure.
It means that
Arabs and Jews don't tend to get along well.
But anyway, on the heels of all of this, the United Arab Emirates has announced a major overhaul of their very strict laws, personal laws, right? They're going to allow unmarried couples to go cohabitate.
Ooh.
They're
without being stoned to death? That's impressive.
Yeah, indeed. They're also going to be loosening their alcohol restrictions.
Wow.
They are criminalizing those honor killings. What they would call honor killings.
Right.
Not very honorable.
And this is nationwide. This isn't just because I know you can get a drink in Dubai.
Yeah,
but Dubai is like this sort of safe haven that's meant to be international.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that the rest of the country was like, fuck no.
Yeah, so liquor and beer has been available in bars and clubs along sort of in their coastal cities, right? These luxurious international destination type places. But people had to have a government issued license to purchase, transport, or even just have alcohol in their homes. And that's being done away with. So it's just going to be a little bit more open, or incredibly more open, because they're also going to allow Muslims who could not get those state issued licenses in the past. They're going to be allowing them to be able to just drink alcoholic beverages freely.
Wow.
Which is a huge deal. They've been mute on whether there is any loosening of their laws about homosexuality, cross-dressing, or even simply just good old PDA. But because that has gotten foreigners into some trouble in the past. Really just not understanding just how strict it is. And apparently they're also going to be allowing foreigners to avoid Sharia courts, which that's nice.
Well, amazing. Progress marches forward. As soon as they start to see, how much money you can get by attracting people from outside of your bubble, things start changing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go. I'm going to take us to Nashville, Tennessee, where it's a weird story, and I'm really not sure what my take is on this story, so I'm just going to sort of tell it, and we can sort ourselves out as we go on. There's a little place, a little red brick building in Nashville that in the early 1900s was formed as a Catholic school that was funded it was founded rather by a saint. I don't know which saint, but it was there for the education of black children in Jim Crow South. So okay, but by the early 2000s, the building had a slightly different usage, which is it had become a sex club, which I think is delightful. The Menage Club. We have talked about delightful ways to use formerly
churches
religious
and whatnot,
institutions.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a good way to do it. A little swingers club, have some fun. It is now no longer that anymore, and has gone back into the hands of the religious.
Oh God!
But is being used as a homeless shelter.
Oh.
There is a big need for much more a lot more shelters because of COVID-19. They can't pack in as many people as they
that
might.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So they have to have a lot more shelters.
Okay.
And so there's an organization called Room in the Inn, which is like, a reference to the Jesus story, the birth story, the Christmas story, if you will. But they're rewriting it apparently. Now there is room at the inn.
Yeah.
They should have called it the stables or whatever.
So
the manger.
After, hosing the place down, did they do an exorcism? What did they?
You're not far off. There was one of the people who worked for the new mission. Apparently, here's a quote. Her name is Rachel Hester. "The more our staff sanded boards, painted walls, and told stories, the more that building healed." So apparently, it was a sick building. There was illness. There was
The more they
terrible
they
disease.
patched glory holes. As they
exactly
removed
The more
hooks from very
exactly.
strange and odd places. There were hooks everywhere.
painted away stains.
Oh, God.
And eventually they got it up to suitable for the homeless.
Oh, golly gee. Okay.
It's funny because I don't know. I can't say anything bad about anyone housing homeless people. I think people experiencing homelessness need housing. We're going into winter, so great. If we, you know what I mean? I think a sex club is a great way to repurpose a Christian entity, but a homeless shelter is a great way to repurpose anything. So, I'd rather that we house the homeless.
Absolutely.
But, as long as they need shelter, let's shelter them.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
at least Christians living up to some small amount of their own creed. So I'm fine with that.
Oh, well, Dan, interesting to segue away from that and
Okay.
to segue to a listicle of sorts that I found that is a list of the 10 wealthiest pastors in America.
Ooh.
And
I don't even know if I want to hear this. It will just depress me.
the first couple on the list, starting from 10, it's 9. Not too interesting. Not shock you numbers, and also names I really didn't know. But number 8 on the list is Franklin Graham.
Okay, sure.
How much do you think Franklin Graham is worth?
Oh my God. I don't know. I mean, he inherited his daddy's empire, and his daddy built it up pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Are we talking about like a yearly amount, or are we talking about sort of just net worth?
Net worth.
I'd say, 30 million. I don't know.
Not bad. 25 million.
Okay.
It's hard. Like, it's sick in a world of billionaires and whatnot, where you look at somebody who's worth 25 million and just be like, it's not that much money.
That's all.
That's all he's worth.
That is kind of a that's all moment. I mean, I guess a little lower than I probably would have, just because you said he was lower on the list.
Yeah. They don't really have a lot of details about exactly what he does with the money or anything. But the next guy on the list, Rick Warren. Have you ever heard that name? Rick Warren?
Yeah, we know. We've talked about Rick Warren.
About Rick Warren? Saddleback
Sure.
Church. That sounds familiar to me. Anyway, it's the 5th largest mega church in America. How much do you think he's worth?
Oh my God, I don't want him to be worth anything. But this is a guy who, like, he's one of the ones who's had access to Trump. He's one of the ones who's, God, yeah, he's probably worth 50 or something. I don't know.
He's worth 25 million.
Okay, so 20. Okay,
And guess what? He says that they only live on 10% of their income, and that they donate the rest to charity. So
I hope that's true.
I hope that's true about him.
he does a reverse tithe.
Yeah, yeah,
Keeps the 10 and gives the 90. That would be great.
yeah.
I would be
I
very
wish
happy.
more
about
wealthy
that.
people did something similar.
Yeah.
We're gonna skip a few up to Joel Osteen. That's a name we know. We actually went and saw Joel Osteen do his little show here in Salt Lake City.
We did. We gave him money, like idiots.
No. The Lakewood Church, it's the largest Protestant church in America. His weekly attendance is 52,000 people. Dan.
He has the old sports arena.
Yeah, exactly. Down in Houston.
In Houston.
He writes books. He has a radio show. He has public speaking fees. The church collection generates about $55 million a year. How much do you think he's worth?
Oh, he's got to be worth over 50 million.
According to this, 40 million.
I'm guessing that's under. I'm guessing he's worth more than that, just because I've seen his compound that he lives at, his mansion. Ridiculous. Of course, that's probably owned by the church. That's the thing, is that all of these guys, it's an underestimation, because the churches own all the places
That's
where they live, all that
true.
stuff.
Yeah, no, you're probably right about that. Number 2 on the list is Pat Robertson. Dan,
Oh, Patty boy.
how much do you think Pat Robertson is worth? This is criminal. It's a lot of money.
Because his revenue, like, he owns the television network.
Yeah.
He owns so much stuff. I'm going to say 100 million. I don't know.
Ding, 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 ding.
There you go.
$100 million. This one makes me sick because he's so awful and disgusting, but of course he's number 1 on the list. Kenneth Copeland.
Oh my God.
How much do you think he's worth?
This is the guy who, if you've seen, like, he's the guy that just recently has had some of the best moments with the COVID-19. He spat on COVID-19
Oh, that's right.
from his
Yep.
pulpit. He dipped his hand in oil and held it towards the camera
Right.
so that anyone who touched their TV would be healed of COVID-19. He's old school.
Yeah. See, he's got a
meaning
bunch
he's
of
old.
jets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay, let's the Kenneth Copeland Ministries is located on a 1,500-acre campus near Fort Worth. The grounds include a church as well as a private airstrip and hangar for a $17.5 million jet and other aircraft. He lives apparently in a $6.3 million lakefront mansion funded by the church. There's speculation that he's worth more than he is listed here. But what do you think, Dan?
So we know it's over 100. I'm going to say 200.
300.
$300 million.
And there are reports that say it could be up to $750 million.
Here's the thing. My heart is almost warmed by the fact that there aren't any billionaires in the list. Like that's how bad things are right now. Is that I'm actually feeling a little okay, like a little pleased that we don't have a billionaire on the list. Oh my God,
that's so much fucking money. Like,
it's just outrageous.
Horrible human being. Like Kenneth Copeland is like so transparently just a disgusting human being.
Yeah.
How anybody could
I'll tell you
follow him
what.
as a spiritual leader is so beyond me.
The way that it works is the prosperity gospel works real, real good for the dude preaching it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right. Well, I am going to close us out with an interesting... I'm not surprising anybody. I'm not blowing any minds right now. But a new study has come out. It's a study produced by a sociology professor, Brandy Woodell. She's at Old Dominion University, and Philip Schwadell. There's a lot of Dells there. Who's a sociology professor from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And these kids did a study and discovered that, shockingly, those who report some form of same-sex attraction were almost twice as likely to disaffiliate from their churches. They were almost twice as likely to leave their church.
You have just... The theme of this show is Dan doesn't surprise us. Dan fails to surprise us.
Dan fails to surprise everybody. Yeah, wait until we start talking about the results of everybody's profiting about our election. Again, nobody will be surprised. But yes, exactly. They basically their study included lesbian, gay, bi, and bisexual emerging adults is what they called them. These are people ages 11 to 34. They didn't have enough data for other sexual minorities. But according to this, apparently when you find out that you are a person whom you're told God hates, kind of hate him back. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things. Yeah, exactly. Nobody is surprised by this, but it's almost more surprising how many people stay in the church. But it's one of those things where it's not that being gay. I don't actually think that it's obviously not about hating God back. It's about being gay. I mean, and you can speak to this. You'll tell me if I'm wrong here, but it seems to me that it's much more about suddenly you have a reason to question.
Absolutely.
You have a compelling reason to say, is this really true? At which point...
I think it's also like this... the church is so wrong about me, right? Because it's when you come to accept it about yourself that you go, okay, I'm done with this. A, they don't want me, right?
Yeah.
Clearly. But B, they're so completely wrong on this on this topic of sexuality and my sexuality and my who I'm, attracted to, and it just it just pulls the curtain back.
Well, yeah.
Right? And you're just like, so what else are they completely fucking wrong about?
You either have to deny your own obvious reality, or you can realize that I'm true. I know I'm real.
Yeah.
So something else has to give.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I basically grew up with two very opposing ideas in my head, right? I knew I was gay, right? And I sort of saw a future where I would, be living as a gay man.
Right.
Right. And then I also had this other thing where I saw sort of my Mormon future, and the two lived side by side for years.
Yeah.
And it was, and I didn't indulge too much in the gay one, right? But I knew it was there. I knew that was my reality.
Totally.
And then finally I just dropped the other one. Right?
Yep.
You have to pick at some point. You have to choose which one are you going to go do?
Yeah.
And as soon as you accept it, truly accept it, and move on, the whole religious upbringing thing, just why would you hang on to it?
Well, it was the straw that broke my camel's back in terms of, and I'm not gay at all, but you start to, when you realize that you have gay friends and they wanted, I had all these friends that wanted to remain in the church that were desperate to do so. And then, but couldn't deny the reality of their situation. And once I realized, I had friends for whom it was such a desperate thing that they were suicidal about it. And I'm like, you don't get suicidal about something that isn't real. You know what I mean? If you're, once I accepted that their gayness wasn't just weakness on their part or some sort of rebellion, it was like, oh, well, that's obviously true. The rest of this must be the bullshit part.
Well, that's one hell of a rebellion,
right? Yeah, I just feel like rebelling. I'm going to go be attracted to a whole different group of people. Well, if you kids at home have anything you'd like to say about this or any other subject, please feel free to write into us. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com is the address.
And the telephone number to leave us a voicemail message is 424-666-8442. We'd love to hear from you. Please stick around. There's more show coming up. Hey, Dan.
Yes.
Mark Taylor. We haven't heard from him recently on the show.
Mark Taylor? Do you mean the firefighter prophet?
Yeah, I do. The nicely mustachioed firefighter prophet.
The man who looks like he forgot it wasn't the 80s. He got to the 80s and stopped.
Yeah. He opened his mouth this week, and it's something that we have to hear him say.
Here's the thing. We are going to talk about him a little later in the show, and I had to find audio for us to use that wasn't the audio that, the things that we're going to be talking about later in the show about sort of how people were prophesying about the election. So this is him prophesying about the future, but this is him just, it's sour grapes. It's sour grapes. We'll listen.
Why do you think Trump calls these guys names all the time? Because you're not dealing with humans most of the time. You're dealing with entities. You're dealing with beings. Some of them aren't human, but you're dealing with beings that inhabit a body. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is why he has no problems doing that. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly.
But you got, and here's one more thing. Let me get into this right here real quick, if you don't mind, because it's just now hitting me.
Yeah.
You had a list of pastors out there that was made headlines, that was supporting Biden. They were pro-life pastors. We disagree on the pro-life or the pro-choice thing, but we're supporting Biden. Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something. Every Christian, every pastor out there that voted for Joe Biden last night, you have brought a curse upon yourself and your family, your children and your children's children down to the third and fourth generation, and you need to repent. I don't care if you are pro-life. You cannot call yourself a Christian and call yourself a Republican or vote for Biden. You know what I mean? Or call yourself a Democrat, or whatever it is. You call yourself a Democrat and a Christian, it doesn't matter. If you voted for the dark side, that's what you did. You are implementing the dark agenda, Satan's agenda, the kingdom of darkness. You are not supporting the kingdom of God. And if you cannot see that, if you do not repent, judgment will fall upon you, I believe, and your family and your children's children down to the third and fourth generation.
God, this guy's God is a dick.
He's going Old Testament, baby.
Yeah. Like cursing for generations?
What do my kids do? What do my great-grandkids do?
Oh,
they might be total Trump supporters. You don't know. God. That's rude. It's a terrible system is what it is.
Oh, God.
I love that down to the fourth generation. That's such an Old Testament pile of nonsense. But there you go.
Oh, God, you can't call yourself a Christian and call yourself a Democrat.
It's obvious to him, so it should be obvious to the rest of us. I don't know. I
don't know why I'm like defending Christians of any ilk, but I mean, come on, man. Like,
well, I don't know. It seems obvious to me which side of the aisle lines up with, that one guy. What was his name? Jesus? You remember him?
Right. Yeah.
It does seem like he kept saying over and over and over, take care of the poor, welcome the stranger, feed the hungry, blah, blah, blah.
It was kind of his message.
It was kind of his whole big
love
deal.
Love one another.
Right? Which seems to be the opposite of what the Republican Party of the current of these United States is all about. But, that's just me. That's just my perspective on things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we had some folks write into us.
Nice.
So we'll jump onto that. Steven wrote in, hey, hello, Frank and Dan. I emailed the show previously to discuss that my parents had found out I listened to the podcast, and they told me I shouldn't be a strident atheist, yada, yada. I don't know if this was a mistake, but I love that it reads, I will read it just as it came in, yada, yada, Yoda.
That's cute.
I think that's adorable. I'm going with it. It just so happens I asked my father if he believed in Bigfoot. One of my coworkers does. It's a mess. And he said no and commented it is similar to how people believe in religion. I was stunned. The man who raised me to be Christian admitting to me he didn't really believe. Between my two parents, he always seemed like the more religious. When I questioned the matter, he claimed there isn't a point to being out in non-belief, and that it, meaning religion, sets a moral foundation. When it comes to indoctrination, I got off easy. My parents seemed to believe it, but never cared too much. It is infuriating to me primarily because parents that don't know any better and use religion as a moral substitute to doing the hard work of really teaching kids about broader moral topics. I think my parents did a good job in a general sense, but I had to work to get on the right side of gay rights and feminism. Learning about evolution was an uphill battle against Sunday school teaching as well. My parents seem completely bought into the idea that we should be gentle with religion out of respect. The problem, in my opinion, is that when you are gentle with a moral framework that's saturated with hate, it takes longer to advance beyond the baggage of the framework.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me, Stephen. I think it's sort of a standard thing for everybody to want to kind of get along and be gentle with religion. And I get it. I mean, believe me, when you've lived as long as I have as an atheist, you've rubbed some people the wrong way. You know what I mean? And then they get grumpy and whatever, and that doesn't do much good. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of nastiness in what they're calling morality in Christianity. So yeah, I get not wanting to equate Christianity with morality. I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
Caitlin wrote into us. Hi, Frank and Dan. I just wanted to email and say thank you again. I wrote in about a year ago just saying how much TGIA was helping me get through some really hard times. I mentioned how you guys talking about how we only get one life helped me want to live mine, and still does. Your guys' encouragement truly means so much to me. In the last email, I mentioned how I wished that I could afford to become a patron. So this time, I wanted to say that with you guys playing in the background, I got into a PhD program this year and now receive a stipend that I am happy to contribute a portion of to TGIA every month.
Oh, well, congratulations on that.
That is awesome. That is great. Caitlin says, I'm well on my way to becoming an evolutionary social psychologist and am so happy that this is what I get to do with this part of my life.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's great. I don't know what an evolutionary social psychologist is, but it sounds real neat. So that's great. Thank you so much,
wonderful.
Caitlin. We have some people to thank. And
we do, Dan.
I'm going to start us off.
Oh, okay, great.
Richard gave us a one-time donation, so thank you very much. We'll call him a teacher.
Nice.
And another teacher, Jean, also gave us a one-time donation with the instructions to say, congratulations, Frank, happy wedding.
Oh, thank you. And then we have 3 new patrons on Patreon. These are people who went over to thankgodimatheist.com and clicked on the support tab and followed it on over. And we have 2 new teachers. We have Kay and Wilco.
Ooh.
And we have a new priest, Balaz.
Wow.
So
well,
thank you. And what's actually kind of neat, and it's the first time I've seen this, is 2 of these new patrons are pledging in euros.
Oh.
So that's something that's possible. So that you know, think
so
about
no
that
excuses, you international listeners.
Your currency might be available. And then as always, we have our top donor to thank, our Lord and Savior, Dennis. Dan.
Hello. Yes. Hi.
So we had an election.
Yes, we did.
Biden is the president-elect, as we currently speak. He is.
Yeah. Barring any outrageous shenanigans,
right?
There's just no way that Trump can get that back.
Exactly.
Recount all you want. Nothing will happen. You can't really stop it in the Supreme Court. He is changing everything over at the Pentagon, which is minorly worrisome. He's like in the last months of his presidency, suddenly he's shaking up the entire military top brass. That's a little scary.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That's not the worst thing that could happen, though. I don't think, it's bad. It's bad. He's putting loyalists in, and to what end, who knows? But anyway,
the big hope is that he's literally just so mad that he just wants to fire people, and so that's what he's doing.
Well, and let's remember, we're not talking about the generals, right?
Right,
being replaced. Right. We're talking about civilian,
the political
appointees, exactly.
And one, I've never credited Donald John Trump with an overabundance of planning. So it's not like I think there's some big, it's not, I'm no QAnon guy. I don't think that there's something in the works. It's just minorly nerve-wracking. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. But there were a lot of people who had big ideas about how this election was going to turn out.
Yeah.
And we're specifically speaking about Christian prophets who were just... I mean, we played some of these clips on the show. They were absolutely convinced
Pat
Donald
Robertson
Trump
was certain. These people were we've played some of them, and they knew for a fact God told them.
Yes, exactly. God spoke to them in whatever form He does that in their head,
right?
And they knew by God's word that Trump was going to be reelected. Well, that didn't. How does that play out?
Our boy Kenneth Copeland, positive. God. He was absolutely positive it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I watched so many beautiful videos. It's just such a happy moment for me to watch videos of people just certain they know what's going to happen, and it's going to be God coming in, and He is going to he's going to make sure that Trump is the winner. Mm-hmm. And then even after we all knew, a lot of them have not accepted it. Paula White tweeted the Dewey defeats Truman picture with Harry Truman holding up that newspaper. Oh, it's just beautiful watching them melt down as their prophecies don't come true.
Well, and their grip on power, right? That their agenda will reign supreme. I mean, this is a huge, major disappointment for them. The thing that they always wanted, they got in spades.
Yeah.
Right? Like they got far. They never could have hoped for a president that was going to give them as much as Donald Trump did.
Oh, yeah.
Like he seriously, they would continue voting for him forever.
And half of these ding-dongs had keys to the White House. Paula White was in there all the time. These people were walking in and out, praying over him. He'd make fun of them afterwards.
Yeah, I know. Totally using them. Using them as much as, they were using him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It was kind of astounding how many people were 100% willing. Now, our boy Pat Robertson, we mentioned him. Other people, I literally so many. There's Hemant Mehta posted a video that someone had put together it's kind of delightful. It's a compilation of preachers and prophets.
Oh, yeah.
Being certain. Mark Taylor's on there. What's his name? Kenneth Copeland's on there. Mike Lindell, we've talked we've had him we've played him before on the show.
Okay.
That Roth guy, what's his name? Philip Roth, I think. Something Roth.
Oh, okay.
He has a show, and he had so many people on his show just absolutely certain that that this was going to happen. Sid Roth, that's his name, Sid Roth.
Okay.
And just person after person, and he kept asking them the same question: is Trump going to win this? And they all said, "The Lord has told me, yes, Trump's going to win." Well, the backpedaling has commenced. The backbiting has commenced. Everybody's just well, and here's the thing. You and I have talked about this plenty of times. Usually, prophets are not called to account. What happens is they make the prophecy. It's for a year and a half out in advance, and then they just never address it afterwards. It doesn't come to pass, and they never address it. If it does come to pass, they will be dining out on it. They will never stop talking about it.
Right.
If they get it right, they are just going to bring it up constantly.
They are so. It's almost like, they jinxed themselves, right? Because it's like, no, I'm serious. Because they're so almost always wrong in their prophecies that it was predictable that if they're prophesying Trump's going to be president, that he's not going to be president, right? Yeah. Because again, you don't like if it was just obvious, right? That like Donald Trump had like some 75% approval rating, right? Some crazy approval rating that would be the worst. America would be, you couldn't live here, right? With that level of approval rating of Donald Trump. But you don't have to prophesy in that situation, right? Like you're okay. Yeah, that's obvious. Shut up. Right. So you kind of have to prophesy about the thing that is unlikely, right? Prophesying about the end of the world, prophesying about Donald Trump being reelected, right? Like you kind of have to go for something that's a reach because again, it's prophecy is wishful thinking, right? Like it's always things that you really, really, really cross your fingers and hope for, wishful want, right?
Yeah.
But
it's magic wishful thinking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because the God up in the sky spoke to you.
It's like blowing out candles on a birthday cake.
And then, like at a certain point, I mean, I wonder how many of these, like you have your Kenneth Copeland who is deranged, and I'm convinced he probably does imagine voices in his head.
Oh, sure. Why not?
Yeah. No, he does. That man seriously hears voices in his head. But the rest of them... Oh, and Mark Taylor. Mark Taylor, I think, is crazy enough to think that he actually hears voices. The rest of them, though, they know that it's the thing they have to say, and they're just saying it.
Yeah, sure.
Right? They make up some stupid story that, I dreamt a dream about Donald Trump being in, and that's it, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's just amazing though. I love seeing them getting so like just messed up in their brains that they can't. That like now you've got guys like Josh Bernstein, who's I don't know. He's a sort of mid-level guy, but he went on a show and said he called for literally for Trump to institute the Insurrection Act and then send in military and literally have martial law. That's what he just to stop the counting of the ballots. This is how desperate they were for their own predictions to come true. And there's like they just can't imagine it. They cannot fathom it. They're all out there praying. I mean, I've got a clip. I saw a clip of Michelle Bachmann just going kind of nutty, saying that America, oh God, she's praying on air. Smash the delusion, Father, of Joe Biden as our president. He is not. Would you take your iron rod and smash the strong delusion that Nancy Pelosi does have her House of Representatives?
I know. I watched that one. She might get her wish about the Senate, sadly.
Well, yeah.
But she ain't getting the one about Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump.
No. Paula White, she called in angels from Africa and from South America to make sure that Trump was going to win. She spoke in tongues to ensure victory for Donald Trump. If anything's going to work, it's hamana namana chamba. But indeed, she has failed. I'm sorry. You've failed, Paula. It didn't work. You have to turn in your key.
So close.
Oh, I just, all I can say is I don't like to revel in people's pain, but these guys, I am enjoying the schadenfreude of their failed.
Specifically for the preachers. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Because
yeah, I'm
their
saying specifically.
Yeah. The congregants I feel really bad for, to be honest.
Sure, I don't want them. Yeah, I mean, they've been misled. They've been walked down a primrose path that is bullshit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the prophets themselves... fuck you. You burnt. That's I can't be happier. There's a guy named Kurt Landry. Do you remember Kurt Landry?
No. Who's that?
He's just one of them. He's just a pastor.
Okay.
And he was sure. Basically, he said it in the voice of God, speaking to we mere mortals. He said, "Son of man, do you think that I am going to allow my prophets who prophesied Trump's second term and prophesied all this goodness coming to this nation to be mocked by a mass media manipulation?"
Oh.
Well, son of man, yeah, it happened. Either your God is really ineffective at getting his desires done on this earth, which doesn't speak well of your omnipotent God, or y'all got it real wrong.
Yeah. Dan?
Yes?
Can we leave the listeners with some audio?
Oh, I think we ought to. I think we had better.
Do you know which one I'm talking about? Kenneth Copeland.
No,
Kenneth Copeland. Did you see the one where he's like laughing about the results of the election?
Yeah, I think that's a delightful place to leave it.
To end our conversation.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll play that, and then we'll be back after that with some final thoughts.
The Associated Press said that Joe Biden is president. Ha! Yeah. 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 Whoa. Whoa, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going to be president. Mickey Mouse is going to be king. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
Well, from that maniacal place, we'll leave it at that. If you have anything you'd like to ha 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 at us, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or leave us a voicemail message. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. We'd love to hear your best ha-ha-has.
Tell us what your prophecies are. Go to the Facebook page if you want to, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
And while you're on And while you're on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join. It is a closed group, but we will let you in. Also, find us on Twitter at TGIA Atheist.
Yeah.
And you know, if you like what you hear on the show, please think about becoming a supporter of the show. You can do that by going to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, clicking on the support tab. And, to be honest, you can also just go and give us a nice review on whatever platform you listen to us on.
Yes, indeed. Thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
And a big thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We appreciate ya.
Bye-bye. All right.
There we go.